Welcome to Gold Derby's Meet the Experts Film International Feature Panel. Our panelists are Boonnitipat, director of Thailand's How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies, Filip Hammar and Fredrik Wilkingsson, directors of Sweden's The Last Journey, Kiran Rao and Aamir Khan, director and producer of India's Lost Ladies, and Eva Nathena, director of Greece's Murderess. Thank you all for joining me today. It's just a beautiful, diverse group of films, and I just want to start by asking each of you, what does it mean to represent your country at the Oscars, and what do you hope to represent for your country's cinema? Like, Pat, what does that mean to you? What do you hope to say about Thailand as a cinematic power?
Well, that's too much for me. I mean, I don't think I represent my culture at all. I think I just got lucky, and yeah, I'm just lucky, and it's my honor to be like seeing you guys here, all the representative of other countries, and I haven't seen any movie, but from the interview that I just heard, I think it's brilliant. I'll definitely check them out, and it's my honor to be here. Yeah.
And Filip, what about you? You get this documentary with your about you and your father, and now it's representing a country at the Oscars. How does that feel?
Well, I mean, I'm not thinking that much about representing my country, honestly, and it's not me being selfish or Fredrik either. I guess it's more like I'm representing my dad almost. Like it's we've had a fantastic, unexpected run with this film where it become the biggest documentary of all time in Sweden, and we didn't expect that at all, but it's all thanks to my dad. So to me, it's every time I'm talking to you guys or we screen it, it's so weird, I guess, for Fredrik as well. Like, that guy, my dad, he's part of this little teacher who's like the least selfish human being there is. I'm just, that makes me proud. And then, of course, but representing a country is also hard because you feel it's a little embarrassing if the journey will end somewhere and you're like, they have some expectations, and so you better not think about that.
Kiran, what about you? Is there pressure in this? You've done this before.
Yeah, Aamir has done this before. India was nominated 22 years ago on the film I first worked on, his film Lagan. So this is the second time, well, fourth time his film has been sent as India's entry. But yeah, for us, we make so many films in India, and there are
1,000 films
a year, and honestly, there are lots of them that are very, very good. So it is an honor and privilege just to have been selected to represent our country, and honestly, it's we're doing our best.
And to be part of a group of films from all over the world, which are each one is a beautiful film, and each country sends their best film. So it's wonderful to be amongst all of you. And
it's so interesting, I have to say, though, we're 10 million people in Sweden. We're 10 million people.
You guys are cheating.
That's our neighborhood.
That's our neighborhood.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To represent your country is a very different thing. Representing India, than our little corner of the world. Yeah.
Also, India is a film crazy country. The Indians love movies. So whichever film gets sent from India, all the Indians are really rooting for it. So that's a lot of pressure on us.
It is. Yeah, it is.
And
well,
Eva,
we try our best just to tell everyone back home.
Yeah.
And Eva, how has it been for you representing Greece?
Well, I feel lucky, of course, and blessed, but I don't know if I represent my country. Maybe I represent this writer that his novel was inspiring me for years, and of course it's something like I represent my mother also. Thank you for saying this for your father, because my mother's story, that was the real inspiration for me. And I had this special premiere in my birthplace, the island of Crete, where in the theater I realized that it was, the audience was my whole life. I mean, it was my fellow students, my mother's relatives, my father's relatives, every person I ever related with, and that was the great moment. I considered this movie as a memorial to my mother's life, to my mother's traumas, and that was what we say intergenerational traumas that we have to know. We have to to find out. And after this movie, I feel a stronger ring in this chain of life between my mother and my daughter. But it was after this movie. So I feel blessed anyway.
Aamir,
Each of the
what was the... Oh, go ahead.
no, I was saying that I haven't seen the films either, but listening to each of the a little bit about each film, each one sounds so interesting, and I'm dying to watch all your films.
We'll share a link with you.
Yes, please. I would like also. Yeah, thank you.
Aamir,
Thanks so much.
you've been part of so many films. When you were growing up, what was the first movie you saw that was like movie magic, where you're like, I'm gonna be a filmmaker?
Oh no, I didn't have that moment when I watched my film. I was just a young kid. I remember it was a Laurel and Hardy movie.
Laurel and Hardy?
Laurel and Hardy. It was a comedy film, but because they were getting into trouble, I was a small kid, and I remember, they were being chased, or one of them, they were trying to get over a wall, and they couldn't get over the wall, and I started crying. The rest of the theater was laughing, but I was crying. I was traumatized that they're going to get into trouble. So that was my first experience of watching a film.
Pat, what about you? When you were young, what inspired you to get into this business?
I wanted to be a movie director very late in life. I wanted to be, when was in my university years. I had chance to attend a film festival just to like watch some film, and there's this Japanese movie by Naomi Kawase. It's called The Morning Forest, and it was screened in this festival, but there was something wrong, and the subtitle came out in Spanish. The movie was speaking Japanese and the subtitle was in Spanish, so I couldn't understand anything. But I just sat there until the end of the movie, and I just cried without understanding much they were talking about. So that's when I realized, oh, this is like the power that I never experienced before. So that's the point of my life where I want to really to make a film that give the audience the same feeling.
What about you, Fredrik? How about when you think back?
I mean, we got to know each other. We were 20, I think, working at a newspaper, being writers, and there was a moment in the mid-90s of, independent cinema, where people made a lot of films that were actually in cinemas in Sweden, even though they were made in America for almost nothing. There was a movie called Clerks by Kevin Smith that cost, I don't know, $20,000 to make. And there was something about, and then the Blair Witch Project a few years later, but it was like, it's because when we grew up, filmmakers were like you couldn't become one. That was what people was. But that whole moment of people making things creatively, but not being high budget, that was so inspiring. That got us started thinking about writing scripts and stuff, because it didn't seem impossible.
And Eva, what about you? When did you discover movies as a kid? What was the first thing you remember?
Well, I remember. I remember. Actually, I cannot remember all these choices of my parents' choices. Of these movies that represent entertainment and blockbusters. But I remember nothing of them. It was during my teenaging. I was a teenager when I discovered Andrei Tarkovsky, and that was a great revelation. And then Michael Haneke, and then Theo Angelopoulos. The great Greek director, and that was a different world for me. And of course, it was during my whole life. It was a great inspiration. All these performances with ancient drama in Epidaurus, that was a great school for me. And Papadiamandis, the writer that my movie is based on, got everything that he knew through ancient myths. So let's say that I always had this dream to reach these great directors through ancient myths, and that novel gave me this opportunity.
Yeah. And we were speaking before this a little bit, so maybe in these last few minutes we can just talk a little bit about, what it means to be an international film and get your movie seen. We've talked about, even you spoken about not seeing each other's films yet. What is the biggest challenge in being seen and getting your films out there? And do you think the world's landscape is changing and being more accepting of international film? Because I feel like I certainly see more of it on streaming platforms now. So I feel like that it is becoming more broad, but what is the biggest challenge? And Kiran, I can start with you on that.
You know, interestingly, we made this film to start this conversation primarily in our own country with women, with you know, so society at large, because the film sort of touches upon so many issues. And the dream for us was to reach a global audience, because even though this film is set in a village in India, it speaks to, I think, struggles that women have worldwide, and it's entertaining, so it's accessible, so that everybody can, you know, enjoy it as well. But like you said, the constraints of theatrical distribution mean that, you know, we did release worldwide, but a diaspora audience watches our films. So streaming has changed that for us. We are on Netflix, and so everyone can watch our film now, and I certainly hope they will. But again, the algorithms often work against international films. So unless you have watched something from India before, or you're interested in a certain kind of film, maybe mine won't show up. So those are some of the challenges, and actually representing the country on this global stage does help us get visibility and for people to know about the film and, you know, therefore watch it.
Yeah. And Pat, how has this been for you? Like, just even being selected as an Oscar submission, has that totally changed the visibility of your film?
Actually, yeah, maybe here in the US, I think, but we are very small film industry in Thailand, so we nominate our film every year, but none of them can reach much visibility. So, but yeah, I'm just lucky that this film got to be seen more than it used to be seen.
And Filip or Fredrik, you know, what is it like what is the film industry like in Sweden, and how do you feel like you're able to push this film internationally? Is it what are the hurdles you have to go through?
Once again, we're 10 million people. There's not a lot of money to be made, which also makes
we were actually we were walking the streets in New York a couple of days ago, and there was a, dare I say it, crazy woman screaming about God in the middle of the street, and nobody was paying attention to her. And I said to Filip, that's us trying to promote our film. If like that, that's very harsh, but I mean, you realize the competition is fierce. There's so much stuff out there. When you have a star in your film, people are going to turn up at screenings, and we have a small documentary. But I mean, I think it's the whole streaming thing is so inspiring, because the potential to reach people is massive. But as you said, the algorithms is a bitch. So you just do what you can.
But there's obviously a lot to be said about streaming versus, you know, theatrical release. But I do have to say, at least if I look at myself, how I at least get in, you know, I see more international films. I mean, where I grew up in this small town, I don't know, they showed every year a few French films, maybe. They would, sadly enough, probably I don't remember them showing any Thai films or you know, Indian films even, and that's so I mean, this is, you know, now I think people just in general are more open to it. But it's interesting also because we've been you know, lucky enough now to make, you know, Universal Pictures will distribute our film. It's not on a big scale, it's an art house film, but the guy who found our film before we had, you know, just right before we got into real conversations with him, he sent us the trailer to your film, Pat, and he said, this is the biggest sensation in Asia this year. And he said, maybe there's a Swedish remake of this film. But I mean, that was to me, oh, I get into, because I don't know that much about the Thai film industry at all. But I mean, just, I'm happy, and I hope all your films open in Sweden, or at least end up on some streaming platform where, you know, so Swedish people, I mean, it's all about how they promote the films, obviously.
Oh, actually, my film is going to be in Sweden like very soon.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah, it's going to be on theatrical release.
Yeah.
We'll be at the premiere. We'll be at the premiere, and we'll promote the film.
If you're there, we'll take you to dinner, man.
Okay, I will pay my ticket and I'll fly there.
Yeah, that's the problem. That we don't have the Indian budgets.
No.
And Eva, you've been in Los Angeles recently. Talk about your experience in bringing your film abroad and how much that's given you.
I feel just like you guys. I feel just like you. I mean, I come from a country where the population is 10 million also. So I had this, I took this special award in Shanghai Film Festival, and everything changed then. Until then, nothing was happening, you know. But I went to this special international film festival of Shanghai, and I got at the short list with 8 different directors, and we had this excellent workshop that was a present of the festival to us with Cameron Bailey, the artistic director of the Toronto Festival. And it was something like I wanted to cry and laugh at the same time, because everyone there was with a distribution company and with a sales agent, and I have nothing. And when it was my turn to speak, I expressed it, and Mr. Bailey said to me, yes, but you are here now and you have your chance. And he was right, because I took this big award of best direction, and that was my chance, yes, for my movie to be seen, you know. And I had other suggestions and in other international festivals, but that was a moment for me. And yes, something is changing. I mean, something is changing, because we see that at the same time that everything is marketing, and you know, we have to promote in another way our movies. Something is changing, because people are interested in personal stories, and this is great. I find it great to go on, and congratulations to all of you, all of us, because this is an honor to be here. And let's see.
Yeah.
We connected because cinema is our love. So when you love something, you follow it. You follow your dream, and that's it.
Yeah, well, certainly big congratulations to all of you. Once again, the films How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies from Thailand, The Last Journey from Sweden, Lost Ladies from India, and Murderess from Greece. I mean, good luck to all of you at the 2025 Oscars, and we'll be wishing you luck. Thanks for joining this international film panel with Gold Derby today.
Please connect us all. Please connect us all somehow.
Yeah.
We can see.
Yeah,
Nice
that's
to meet you guys.
I didn't you guys.